Error Buster Season 2 is officially out, which means that it's a whole new orangey nightmare. Or so I thought. I was literally just testing the waters regarding the enemies to strategize. And then, but of course, I didn't get the top spot, so I played way more runs. Here's what I learned. For this season, you'd want a team that can deal with both solo bosses and hordes of mini boss-like things. So you'll need a buffer healer, a debuffer, an AoE nuker, a boss shredding DPS, and, surprise surprise, Rebel. For the buffer healer slot, you'd want Caramel Shoe. Wait, Cream Ferret. Cream Ferret gives team-wide crit rate, crit damage, and damage resist buffs, which means that you'd have more freedom to choose other bug fixes. They also give attack and crit damage buffs to your highest attack cookie, so more damage from your damage dealer. Plus, they also heal your team constantly, so go get Cream Ferret when you can. Another good healer buffer is Rockstar. It gives a small team-wide crit buff on top of healing. PV is also a good healer, though the lack of buffs make him useless into Hound phase. Anyway, let's update the ideal team roster. Moving on, for the debuffer, you'd really want Linzer. Linzer inflicts up to 80% damage amplification to enemies. She also reduces enemies' defenses and attacks, so she kinda helps with survivability in a way. But more importantly, she makes the enemies way more fragile, so you'll deal more damage. Anyway, she's a debuffer that also buffs. She gives team-wide crit rate and crit damage, so you'll deal way more damage and would need to worry less about crit rate bug fixes. So pick her when you can. You can also go with Eclair for a debuff of up to 100% damage amplification to the enemies, though Linzer is miles better for the buffs and debuffs she gives overall. Other choices for debuffers are Milky Way and Space Donut. They apply high percentages of defense shred, so they're also solid. Anyway, here's the updated ideal team roster. Now on to the AoE DPS. This might be controversial, but there's really only one best option. That option is Moonlight Cookie. She does massive AoE damage and knockbacks enemies. Plus, she applies debuffs like Weakness, basically damage amplification, and Drowsy, which reduces attack and attack speed, so she's not useless against bosses. A decent alternative to her is Awakened Dark Cacao, since he does okay damage and inflicts a defense shred. Stormbringer is good too for AoE damage. Anyway, here's the updated ideal team list. For the boss DPS, you need to have Creme Brulee. Just kidding. You'll need to have Sherbet. He does a lot of damage, especially with time. Plus, he freezes the Hound, which buys you time if you have low cooldowns. Other than him, there's literally no one else ideal as a boss shredder. So let's put him to the ideal team roster. For the Rebel slot, you're gonna need Rebel. You probably already know that he's great at stalling the Hound, but he also provides a crit buff and inflicts a defense shred. He also does respectable damage. That's why he is a must-have. Anyway, here's the ideal team list.
Whoopsie.
Here it is. Now that we've gone through the characters, let's go to the bug fixes. You generally want to have this card to reach a billion damage. You'd also want to get this card early on and get this card along the way. After that, you'd want to get at least a 50% cooldown and at least 30% crit rate. You'd also want to get this card to ensure that Rebel never misses a cooldown. Also aim for the move speed card early on so you have more time fighting the Hound. I also forgot to say this, but you can also get this card or this card. Now, the ideal team and these bug fixes are tips for a sure victory. But if you're in for a challenge, you can try this coin flip team with Prune Juice, Matcha, Margarine, Rebel, and either Silver Bell or Linzer. This team will probably deal the most damage of all the teams against the Hound. Though the problem with this team is that if you don't get Prune, Matcha, and Margarine early on, your runs with the other characters will take a lot of time. Prune juice alone kinda sucks here, so this team is a gamble. Unlike liking this video. This team is also less forgiving compared to the ideal team when you don't get good cards, especially if you don't have enough cooldown and damage bonuses. Anyway, for your bug fixes, it's generally the same as the ideal team, just focus on cooldown instead of crit, and try to get summon related cards and the plus 40% periodic damage card. So yeah, that's it. Good luck and see you in the leaderboard. Please don't, I need to get to top 1.